All right, this is part 3 of chapter 6. We're on to more specifics with different organelles. Mitochondria we'll detail a lot later at a later date, but this is where cellular respiration occurs. And chloroplasts are found in plants, and they're the sites of photosynthesis. Chloroplasts are also found in some bacteria, mainly cyanobacteria, and also in some protists, algae, things like that. So here you see the mitochondria. It's a double membrane, has an inner and an outer membrane, and why that is, we'll talk at a later date, but according to endosymbiotic theory, this mitochondria within this cell used to be a prokaryote, a bacterium that was enveloped by a larger cell, and then they had a symbiotic relationship that worked together. The chloroplast itself is a member of the plastid family. There's all different kinds of plastids. The chloroplast is just a very common one. They all serve similar functions, and it contains chlorophyll, a pigment that helps to absorb the sun's energy. They're found in leaves and other things like algae, as we said. And within the chloroplast, again, you have the double membrane, outer and inner. And inside we have thylakoids that are stacked up, and one stack is called a granum. Many are called grana. And within we also have stroma. That's the fluid bathing all the thylakoids, where we have lots of ions and things dissolved. That'll become important later when we talk about photosynthesis. Then we have peroxisomes, another kind of lesser-known organelle. But peroxisomes help with metabolic reactions and detoxification. They actually produce hydrogen peroxide as a byproduct of some of these reactions. And they end up converting it to water. You probably know how. Then we get to the cytoskeleton, which gets a little bit more complex. This is a variety of different types of fibers that enmesh or work together to create structure and support throughout the cytoplasm. Here we see microtubules and microfilaments, two different fibers that make up part of the cytoskeleton. And the cytoskeleton gives mechanical support. It's also involved in motility or movement. And as you can see here, here we have a microtubule of the cytoskeleton working with these motor proteins to cause or create movements. And you can see that here. This is actually the thing you saw in the Harvard video animation that you might have watched as well. Lots of different fibers. There's the three main types are microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments. Those three make up the cytoskeleton. Microtubules help shape the cell, and they guide the movement of organelles. So they almost provide a highway for organelles to move through the cytoplasm as they go from one area to the other. And they also help to keep the chromosomes separated when the cells divide. So you know that as being part of spindle fibers. All right, so then we have the centrosomes, which is where the microtubules come out of or come from. They're organized as part of that. And centrosomes contain a pair of centrioles. A little bit confusing, I know. But basically, centrosomes are the microtubule organizing center. That's the important part. Cilia and flagella also contain microtubules. They're specialized arrangements that move those microtubules back and forth, as we saw with the motor proteins, to create locomotion. So here we see, for example, sperm, the flagellated tails moving. That's done through the use of microtubules. And also cilia, the same thing, also use microtubules to beat back and forth to move stuff. So here you see the breakdown, and of course these details are not important, just to show you how they play a role and their importance, where we have microtubules here in this arrangement making up this flagellum, or this component. You can see even more detailed cross-section. And you don't have to know the protein dynein, that's not the important part, but it works with the microtubules to aid in the movement. And you see these microtubules, they'll move back and forth across one another with this motor protein, this dynein arm that gets powered by ATP to cause the movement. And that's how they go back and forth and back and forth. Here you see flagellum causing it to bend, the same type of thing, but this time one side is anchored. So because of this anchor, when one side tries to slide past the other, it actually causes it to bend, and that creates that bending that we saw in cilia. Here being the same idea. And then microfilaments. Microfilaments are built of actin. You've seen actin maybe previously making up part of muscle cells. There was actin and myosin. But actin are found in microvilli, like those of the small intestine, that aid in absorption. They create those structures. And so here you see in a muscle cell, for example, actin that's part of the myofilaments, or microfilaments, either way you want to say it. Amoebas also move in this way through the contraction of actin and myosin. Interesting that they move the same way your muscles do. And we'll take a pause here.